All right. So another solid day. Nice bounce back after yesterday. Um, should have been a 5-0, man. If you look at the first game, NC State, uh, they were up 11 at half. They ended up getting up to like up 18, and then in the last like 7 minutes, they go up a 19-6 run. They're up one with 2 seconds left. They foul. They give up two free throws, and then on the inbound, they turn the ball over, and the other team gets a free 2 points at the end. Oh, one of the worst backdoors I've seen in a while. But you're gonna see today, two of my picks are kind of trying to avoid this matchup. So St. Bonaventure, they end up covering. I think they win by 14 in the end. But man, they went into half up like 13 or something. They gave up like a 17-1 run, which is just insane. And then they finally locked back in and somehow still cover this number. Seemed to had to be a lot harder than it needed to be, but it is what it is. South Alabama, relatively no sweat. They kind of dominated the pace the entire game. Illinois State, they stayed close the entire game. I think they ended up losing by four. Um, Pretty solid underdog spot there. And Texas almost pulled an NC State. They were up something like 23 at some point, and then uh, near the end of the game, Oklahoma brought it to within two. So I started to realize if I like a road favorite um, a lot, I'm just gonna start taking them in the first half because it seems to be a domination spot in almost all those games until the other team at home decides to lock back in. So moving forward, I'm gonna try that as a new angle, and we'll see how it goes. All right, all right. Going on to the first game, we have two teams going completely different directions. We have Michigan, who's on a five-game win streak, um, and they played the 10th hardest schedule in the league, and they're looking really solid. They're coming off of two great road wins against USC and UCLA, and they went back home, dominated a pretty solid Washington squad by 16. Um, they just look like a really solid, well-rounded team. Their only three losses this year are to Wake Forest on a neutral court. They lost that game by two. They lost to Arkansas on neutral court and Oklahoma on a neutral court. Um, but every other game in a home or away court, they seem to win. So either they really like to have a massive home audience or they like to have a massive opponent audience. And I think this is going to be a great spot for them. Minnesota, they're on a four-game losing streak. They just lost another two games on the road going back home. Um, they lost to a Maryland team by six, Wisconsin by 21, Ohio State by one, Purdue by 20. The only teams that they've beat in the last like 10 games have been Morgan State, ranked 334th, and Farley Dickinson, ranked 308. So they've just not been able to play up to this competition that Michigan has. If you look at the matchup, Michigan, um, offensively fifth best in offense efficiency, defensively 17th best in defense efficiency. They like to take near basket shots, 3-point shots, and they typically hit the boards really hard. Those are all three spots that they're going to have success here. 3-point, they are the seventh best in the nation to Minnesota's 144th. Near basket, they're 10th to Minnesota's 93rd. They're 13th on the offensive board to Minnesota's 99th on their own defensive boards. And since they're the better team in this spot, their pace is going to be probably really annoying for this Minnesota team. Michigan plays 28th fastest in the league. Minnesota's 354th in pace. So Minnesota's going to try to slow this game down, but I think Michigan, being the better team, is going to be able to control the pace here and just completely keep fast breaking this Minnesota team that wants to play it much slower. And then look at the other side. Minnesota, they like to shoot near basket and the second chance opportunities. They're kind of a paint team. They play relatively close to the basket. And if you look at their matchup, they're 189th in near basket percentage to Michigan's 48th in near basket defense, 104th to Michigan's 34th in defensive efficiency. They want to. They're probably not going to have any success shooting up threes because Minnesota defends the three really well. Really, the only place I can see Minnesota having a bit of an edge is on the boards, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be enough here to cover this number against a really, really fast and solid Michigan team. So I think Michigan's going to win this game by double digits, relatively comfortably. I don't know. I really don't like this Minnesota team. If you look at like common opponents they played, they lost to a Wisconsin team by 21. That Michigan beat by three. Uh, they beat Cleveland State by 11. Michigan beat them by 48. These teams are just, I know, completely different directions. I think Michigan is the way better team. Um, I don't think regression is enough in this spot to to back the home team here. So give me Michigan as 9.5 road favorites. All right, going into game number 2, we have High Point going on the road against Longwood. So when I look at these two teams, like Longwood's been, sneaky good at some spots, but I think this High Point team is just, significantly better than them. Both teams haven't really played very hard schedules, so you can kind of take what they've, done with a grain of salt. But High Point's played at a much higher level this game, this season. If you look at kind of where they're going to be shooting, they like to take a lot of mid-range shots, 3-point shots. They get a lot of points off steals, a lot of points off second chance opportunities, and those are basically all the spots where they're going to find success this game. They're the 57th best 3-point shooting team in the nation. Longwood defends it at the 197th best. Where High Point is going to dominate is the mid-range. They're the 3rd best in mid-range percentage, and Longwood is the 341st in defending the mid-range. I think since it's the shot they take the most, they're gonna find the looks that they are comfortable getting, and they're gonna keep running this momentum into this Big South Conference matchup. Second chance, they're 61st in converting the second chance opportunities. Longwood is 245th in defending their own boards. So if High Point does miss their mid-range, I like their chances of getting the boards here. And on the other side of the ball, this Longwood team, this High Point has a good defense. If you look at where Longwood likes to shoot, they like to shoot nothing specifically, but particularly they like mid-range near basket. They don't shoot a lot of threes. They will find some success in the mid-range, but the gap won't be as massive as the gap is for High Point. They're 118th in mid-range percentage to High Point's 335th in mid-range defense. So, if both teams are only taking mid-range shots, I like High Point's spot here. And then everywhere else, High Point defends really well. They're 63rd in defending the paint. They don't give up a lot of turnovers. They're pretty solid on their own boards, at least better than Longwood is. And really the only thing that Longwood likes to do is they get a lot of free throw attempts. But that's why I'm taking the first 5. I think free throws are a lot more of an end game situation. That's where teams are typically more in foul trouble, trying to close out the game. So, and again, High Point is no pushover either. They are 48th in free throw attempts, and they're actually a better free throw shooting team than this Longwood team is. So, I think High Point is the better team through and through. I'm going to take the first half because historically High Point has kind of let teams back into games. And if you look at their matchups in terms of first half, High Point is, where do I have this? The 73rd best team in the nation in the first half, and they're the 155th best team in the second half. And if you flip it, Longwood is 249th in the first half, so they typically come out of games really slowly. And second half, they're a much better team, 129th. So I think High Point, as they typically do, are going to come out hot. They're the better team basically everywhere. I think they cover this first half spread relatively comfortably. All right, game number 3. We have a classic revenge spot here. If you look at the matchup, Marshall beat James Madison by 2 not too long ago, actually a week ago today on January 9th. And so, they just beat them on their home court. Now James Madison, I think, is the better team, are going to be pissed off, and they're going to come and show Marshall why they were such a good team last year and why they have a better team this year. So look at the matchups. I have this modeled as a relatively even game. I think the spread is relatively fair, but with the revenge spot angle, I do like the spread to technically be a bit wider. So if you look at the matchups here, James Madison has played a significantly harder schedule than Marshall, 72nd in strength of schedule, and they've had a better record quality against harder teams. And James Madison plays really well at home. I think when Marshall plays really bad on the road, so this just seems like a great bounce back spot for a James Madison team that got embarrassed. If you look at matchup wise, Marshall likes to take mid-range shots, 3-point shots. They do okay on the boards. But really, the only success they're going to find this game is in the near basket shot, which James Madison doesn't defend very well. But they don't really shoot near basket. Marshall, they're 234th in the nation in proximity, so they typically take a lot more mid-range 3-point shots. They don't really like to live in the paint. So I think in the shots that they do take, they're pretty shit at them. I think James Madison is going to have the advantage on that side of the ball. And offensively, James Madison's, they're not a great offensive team. They're 149th in offensive efficiency, but they're okay. they take a lot of shots. Um, they shoot everything pretty midly, I would say, not great. Um, but again, the big reason why I like this spot is strictly for the, home advantage revenge game. I think James Madison shows up here. They're going to be pissed off that this Marshall team embarrassed them. Yeah, give me James Madison to win this game by more than 5.5 points. All right, moving into game number 4, we have Kansas City heading on the road to face a North Dakota State team. I look at these two teams. I think they kind of both like to do the same thing, but one team is just much better at doing it. So if we just look at strictly, high level, I have North Dakota State as a top 150 team. Kansas City, not even breaking the top 250. Um, all play percentage, schedule strength, everything kind of leans towards North Dakota State. They both play pretty slowly, but North Dakota State plays really well at home, and Kansas City seems to be a home or nothing team. They seem to really play much better at home. So on those fronts, I really like North Dakota State here. If you look at the matchups, North Dakota State shoots a metric ton of threes. That's what they do. UMKC can defend three decently well, but North Dakota State shoots the three-point shot second best in the nation. So even if Kansas City is 61st best in defending it, I think it's still gonna not be too big of a problem. But yeah, that's really all they do. North Dakota State just hooks up a shit ton of threes. And they shoot it well, second best in the nation. So they shoot a lot and they go in. You could say UMKC's defense will make them struggle a little bit, but I don't know. I think Kansas City hasn't played anyone, so I think that 3-point defense number is a bit inflated. I think North Dakota State here is going to find some success at home on the court that they practice their threes on. On the other side of the ball, Kansas City also likes to take threes and mid-range shots, and that's basically it. They don't really go for boards. Both teams are just going to be shooting. It's going to be a shootout. And we really want to look at a matchup here. We have North Dakota State as the 36th best team in defending the three, so even a better defense. But UMKC is 237th in three-point percentage. So you have a better three-pointing team at home where they play better. They've played better players. They're the better three-point defense against a better or worse three-point shooting team. And I don't know. I look at this game. It just feels like a great spot. UMKC is actually due for some negative regression. North Dakota State's due for some positive regression. And if you really kind of dig into the numbers a little bit more here on North Dakota State, they also love to let teams back into games. If you look at their power ratings here in the first half, they're the 82nd best team in first half and the 231st best team in the second half of the game. So I look at this, UMKC, they're the 185th best team in the first half and they're 124th in the second half. So North Dakota State typically comes out of games hot. They love to play at home. They have one of the, I wouldn't say they have a massive home advantage, but I think on the flip side, the difference here in UMKC playing on the road is going to be, naturally giving North Dakota State some home edge there. So, yeah, I think I really like this number here. I like the full game as well, but again, I'm kind of sick of teams letting other teams in. So, yeah, this is going to be a shootout, a meticulous three-point game. I think North Dakota State on their home floor is going to shoot more threes and shoot them better. All right, I just see this fifth game here as a great blowout spot. This Cal State Fullerton team has not been very good. UC Irvine, they obviously have been playing, way above their pay grade lately. They're due for a lot of regression, but they play really well against these, mid teams. They typically blow them out pretty frequently, and they're such a good defensive team that this Cal State team, I don't think is going to find any success. If you look at where Cal State likes to shoot, they basically don't do anything except for take mid-range shots and near basket shots. And they're probably going to have to settle for mid-range shots because UCI is the 11th best team in defending the near basket, and they're going to make it really hard for CSF to find any offensive success in this game. UCF is the 16th best in defense efficiency in the entire nation. They also don't go any free throws, and that's where CSF typically finds some success as well. I think CSF is going to find a lot of struggle shooting here. And, UCI is not a great offensive team. They're 179th in offense efficiency, but they get a lot of free throws, 134th in the nation, and CSF gives up a ton of free throws. but UCI shoots the free throw percentage second best, just behind Wisconsin. So I think they're going to find a lot of success here from the line, and that's where they're going to pull away from this game. Um, CSF is 312th in defense efficiency. Even though UCI isn't a fantastic offensive team by any stretch, they are by far the better team. I had them as almost a top 75 team this year. My Cal State Fullerton pushing, barely a top 300 team. I think this is just going to be a mismatch. CSF has kind of showed up a bit more in away games than they have on their home floor, but only 20 points here. I have this model as a 25-point win for UC Irvine. A few other models I've looked at has this almost up to like a 30-point win for UC Irvine. So could be a letdown spot, but these two teams are very different levels in this conference. In the Big West, you have a 15-2 team versus a 5-13 team going on the road at home. Yeah, give me USC Irvine to blow the house off here and win this game by probably 30 points if I had to guess. All right, and those are my 5 favorite games for January 16th. Here are my 7 bonus bets that I like today. These are other games I'm going to be playing. Slightly less confident games, but still spots I think I like a lot here. If you look at this Appalachian State team, this ODU team's kind of frauds. They do play really well as home dogs, but I just think this Appalachian State team is just significantly better, and ODU is going to really struggle here. ODU is a consistent team, but they haven't really played very hard competition. And this Appalachian State team typically likes to blow out these dog shit Sunbelt teams. They shoot the three really well. They're going to find some success offensively, and defensively they're going to completely shut down. They're 83rd best defensive team in the nation. ODU, they just kind of huck up shots and not very efficiently. They typically rely on the boards a lot, but Appalachian State's 54th best team in defending their own boards. I think this is a great spot for Appalachian State to win this game. Number 2, we got Hofstra. This is a weird underdog spot here. I have these teams relatively equal. If anything, I have Hofstra as a better team than Towson. Towson is due for some regression, but Hofstra is a very good offensive team, and they play really good on the road. So giving me 5 points in a matchup where I think Hofstra is actually the better team defensively, and they might find some success offensively as well. 65th best team in defense efficiency. Yeah, I think the gap here in the defense is going to be enough for Hofstra to stay in this extremely slow-paced game. Third game, got Mount St. Mary. This is a spot where Mount St. Mary's due for a lot of regression, but I just think they're the better team in general here. This Rider team hasn't really done much in the MAC. I don't think the home edge is going to be an advantage in this spot. You're getting Mount St. Mary on a really, really fair price. I have this game modeled as an 8-point win for Mount St. Mary. Barring any significant, massive regression, I think Mount St. Mary is the better team here, and they should head on the road here and get a win against this mediocre Rider team. Game number 4, Kennesaw State. I think these teams are relatively equal in Conference USA, but I think Kennesaw is just, they play really well at home. They're a consistently decent team. Again, Sam Houston, like stat-wise, is the better team. They're 77th best in offense, but their defense just gives up way too much. I think Kennesaw, with the home edge here, is going to find a way to keep this game close, and if not, cover the spread. I think they're going to win outright. Game number 5, we got Cal Baptist. Nothing particularly jumping out at me here. I think Cal Baptist is a team that plays really well on the road, and they kind of love these conference matchups. And the 3 things that they like to shoot: mid-range and points off steal, second chances. They're gonna have whatever they want to get, because Tarleton's not a great defensive team, and the only thing that Tarleton will have an edge on here is 3-point percentage, and they don't shoot threes. They're not a team that likes to shoot threes. They have they like to sit in the paint. So give me Cal Baptist to win on the road there. Game number 4, South Dakota State. So this is a spot which, if you look at it without looking at regression, you slam South Dakota State. They are a borderline top 100 team against a borderline, bottom 300 team, even outside of the top 300. But this North Dakota State team, North Dakota's team has been really unlucky in shot quality, and they are due for regression. But I don't think they're going to find regression here against a really annoyingly fast South Dakota State team that shoots really, really well, 92nd best in the nation. North Dakota likes to shoot mid-range shots. That's pretty much all they do. They might find some success there, but they're such a bad team that I'm not necessarily worried. I think South Dakota State is just going to run out the score. North Dakota has no defense. and regression typically doesn't impact the defense that much. Last one, UT Martin. I think this Eastern Illinois team, even though they've played a really, significantly harder schedule when it comes to at least Ohio Valley State reasons, I guess, if you look at it that way. But I don't really care. I think they're such a bad team, and I think they're gonna just give up the ball way too much in this game against a UT Martin team that loves to just play aggressive defense. Um, yeah, this just seems like a relatively short line for a home favorite that is a slightly better team um, that is, relatively well matched up here. And they're going to shoot a lot of threes, find some success from steals. Yeah. And that'll be it for today. Those are my 12 favorite games today. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Check out the spreadsheet if in case I end up betting any more or changing anything due to line movement or injuries or whatnot. But as far as it stands, these are going to be the 12 games I'm playing in college basketball today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow.